Honorable participants and dear guests, I would like to start by welcoming you all to the symposium. Our session is the last session, so thank you for your patience, first of all, and I will do my best to keep my speech brief. I'm Müge ÖZTUNÇ from Istanbul Aydın University Faculty of Communication, and I will be chairing this session on disinformation and politics. It's a great honor to have the privilege of participating in and undertaking the role of chair at such an influential symposium. I will continue my speech by giving you information regarding the procedure of our session. We will be entertaining presentation by every one of you, esteemed academicians. Each of you has time limit. You have 15 minutes for each, and I will notify when you have 5 minutes left. Okay, as I said, I will not be keeping the speech long, and now I will yield the floor to our first presentation. Yes. Mr.
Yeah, I prefer presenting there.
Please.
All right.
Thank you.
Maybe turn it on.
It's already on, but you can always use it.
Associate Professor EHSAN SHAHGHASEMI from University of Tehran.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank conference organizers. This is the second time. What? In English, please. This is the second time I have the opportunity to participate in this event at Aydın University. I thank my colleagues. I don't like online presentations, and I don't think it has much effect. One of the benefits of in-person presentations is this. Last year here at this university, I met Professor Rujev. Also, Professor Rujev will have a presentation in this session, and I told him that as a teenager, I was a fan of Bulgarian football team. And now this year, he brought me this souvenir, a very valuable asset for me, an image of Bulgarian team in World Cup 1994, and some of them, including my favorite player, Emil Kostadinov, have signed it. And this is one of the benefits of the conferences in the age of social media. My presentation is on BTS's religious strategies. How many of you know Korean pop music, BTS? How many of you? You don't know? BTS, Korean pop. So how many of you are fans? None of you? Yeah, I am. I can estimate that there are more than 5 million Iranian, mostly underage Iranian girls who are fans of BTS in Iran, and some of them are fanatics. Maybe BTS is a Korean group, but possibly Iranians are most fierce defenders of this group. 2 years ago, Iranians were the first nation in the world, even more than Koreans themselves, who searched for BTS and its related search words. And I had the opportunity of participating in a TV program, and there was about 90 seconds of my speech that really enraged them. There was a massive attack on my social media pages, both on Twitter and Instagram, and I decided to do more research on them, because I understood that this kind of attacks are not, are ordinary attacks. These are attacks from kind of religious fanatics. So it is very, very wonderful to see that people who are mostly claiming to be past the religious, dogma, now they behave as religious dogmatists. It was a very interesting issue. And when I delved into this subject, I understood that there was many interesting insights that could be drawn from the Iranian fandom of BTS music group. But what concerns my topic of speech of today's presentation is the BTS's religious strategy to make people literally fans. I mean, not fans that like their music or enjoy following up their news, but fans who are ready to fight for them. Why they have been, they have become so successful. And I'm coming from Iran. Iran is an ancient country, and has a great sense of nationalism. There is a, Iran is possibly one of the few ancient countries that still exist. So we have this kind of very strong sense of nationalism. It's wonderful that you see at least 5 million Iranian young women love a music group that is outside their cultural boundaries and is different even racially. One of the reasons I think is that BTS, or to be more precise, publicist industry that works behind BTS has been able to meticulously take religious tenets and apply them on an industry that is totally after money. You will take religion, that is something that wants to connect you with a heavenly body, but you use these tenets for a completely this-worldly adventure. But it succeeded massively, and they may be far from decline at the time of my research. One of them is that BTS successfully followed Christian tenets, like, for example, celibacy. You don't know there are 7 members of BTS. How much time do I have? How much time?
You have
7 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. So, but BTS is a very popular group, but we don't know much about their relationships. They are 30, and now some of them passed even 30. So they must have had relationships, but we don't know much about it. Maybe they understood that this kind of image that they create from themselves induce a kind of perception of sacredness, because all religions, I mean formal religions, in one way or the other, emphasize on celibacy as a value. Unlike, for example, celebrity culture, modern celebrity culture, in which celebrities rarely boast with their immorality, their morality, or their being. They can, it's even accepted in Hollywood. People cheat on each other. One of the greatest stories in this respect has been Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's affair. That after that culminated in their marriage and then separation. Another strategy, very successful strategy, is devotion and love. It's very hard to deal with Iranian girls about this issue. They say, when you ask them, why do you love BTS? They said, because they love us. How could they love you? There are at least maybe 200 million fans of BTS exist in the world. How could they love every one of them? They have this has been started from a bankrupt corporation named Big Hit Entertainment. And then this enterprise is estimated to be worth $10 billion. Every one of these artists have gathered much money before their 30s. Maybe each of them now have a net worth of more than $1 billion. And every $1 of of this huge expenditure has come from the attention of fans. There is no such a thing as, for example, being the entrepreneur or being able to economically produce money. All the story is in this box. The more attention you get, the more money you will get. But it's not important. The important thing is that followers or fans believe that they are being loved. Another issue that they took from Christianity, another tenet that they took from Christianity, has been something that I would, all right, reborn. Most of the BTS fans in Iran claim, many of them, that I have been able to talk to many of them, maybe hundreds of them, over social media or in offline environment. They said they contemplated suicide. They were suicidal when they first met BTS videos, and now they enjoy their lives. This is a kind of, this has been a kind of fad among BTS lovers, and this will give them a kind of reborn outside religion. This is kind of these ideas come from religions, and religions were here for thousands of years. They have been corrected, and bad parts of the religions have been thrown away. So there is a very strong sense of contempt in all religions. In all religions, even formal or informal, because they have had thousands of years of time for evolution. Now they have become such a delicious fruit that everyone can pick them up and use them at their own benefit. Another issue, another tenet that I think they wisely took from Islam is self and otherness. This is, suppose we are living in a region. I am Iranian. Most of you are from Turkey. We are living in a region that is, always tensions. We know that there is no such a thing as security. Maybe you live for 10 decades in complete security, but after 10 decades, if we live enough, after 10 seconds, something terrible will happen to us. Suppose in Iraq in 2010s, you saw horrible images. In the third millennium, Daesh attacked Izadis, and since they considered Izadis as blasphemers, as kafirs, everything was vowed to the vanquished. Everything was authorized to be on them. You could kill men, you could rape women and make their bodies a factory for little Daeshis, because when one is labeled as kafir, every unethical action is authorized on him or her. So this is exactly what BTS did. BTS people are not weird and don't seem to be violent, but the mechanism is the same. BTS says, you are our armies, you are our followers, we love you, but there are haters. So if somebody is a hater, everything is authorized, is ethical, is moral to be on him. So I have received actually thousands of death threats from BTS fans, but I didn't consider anyone serious, because this was acts out of anger. It was not something premeditated, something one should take it serious. But this is important. This is important that despite choosing the strategy to show oneself as loving all the people on the world and tolerating any kind of criticization and trying to do something that satisfies everyone, they easily could label other people as haters, and then everything again, vow to the vanquished. Everything is justified to be done on them. All right, I will publish my article in the proceeding. If you are curious to find more, I will be happy if you read my full text article. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to invite lecturer Alexandra NAGY-BÉNI from Corvinus University of Budapest.
Thank you very much, everybody. So I am actually going to talk about those terrible and horrible images that the previous presenter referred to, unfortunately. But I think it's nonetheless very important to discuss these matters. So as mentioned, I am Alexandra NAGY-BÉNI from Hungary, from Corvinus University of Budapest, and I have a really hard to pronounce family name, which I am aware of. So I brought you a very actual and current topic titled Distorting Crisis Reporting, which turned out to be rather a rhetorical question by the end of the research, as you'll see, in which I discussed the visual framing of the Russo-Ukrainian war in online news. So for this presentation, first I'm going to briefly talk about the inseparable relationship between violence and the news genre, how framing plays a really important role in the interpretations that we have of these really global events. Then I'm going to talk to you about a specific approach that I developed for this study. I'm going to present the results and, of course, conclude in the very end. So the really famous motto of news production, if it bleeds, it leads, I believe captures the inseparable relationship between violence and the news genre. But what I am specifically interested in is how can it be that sometimes we have completely different interpretations of the same exact global violent events, such as the Russo-Ukrainian war that I analyzed? How is it that one sees it through the lens of the perpetrators, as we can see in one of the sort of frames? How is it that others see it through the lens of the victims and the endurers of this harm? And how can it be that others are left with images of destruction and ruins? And how does this influence our interpretations? Now, when it comes to complex violent events, such as the ones that I research, it is the news media that functions as our primary source of information. The media doesn't only select the issues they report on, but they also choose the ways in which to do so, which is central to the concept of framing. So when we are discussing framing, we have to understand that this is all about positioning certain events. This is about offering moral value judgment, as well as, in some cases, some probable solutions as well. And what has been found is that figurative language types that are non-literal language types that I will talk a little bit more about, such as metaphors and metonymies, they tend to play a really important role in shaping public discourse in such complex matters and how they are framed. Now, one of the most powerful framing tools are pictures nowadays, and it is believed that visuals are sort of framing devices on steroids, so to say, so much so that many times the picture is the message itself. Nowadays in today's media scene. But the situation is not that simple when it comes to pictures of violence, provided that most of the news outlets are bound by their editorial guidelines, which seriously limit explicit depiction. So the question arises, how is the undepictable depicted, so to say? And in order to answer this question, I borrowed a term from cognitive linguistics, which actually tells us about how our worldview is built up. It simply says that our reality does not come in pre-structured forms. We learn about it and build it up through our language and also its visual projections. And one of the main mechanisms in this process is metonymy and metonymic relationships. Now, metonymy is a stand for relationship. It's all about substitution. So we use X to stand for Y. So if I say, let's do a head count here, I'm using the word head count, but I am going to count each and everybody as a whole person, not just the head, so to say. So here the head stands for the whole person, which is a really conventional metonymic expression. So because of this substitutional nature, metonymy seemed to be a really great tool to understand how the substitutions also work in news images of violence, given that explicit depiction, or so to say, the depiction of the whole event is very limited when it comes to news pictures. Visual metonymies have been researched before, but mostly in the genre of advertising, political cartoons, and political campaigns. Less has been said about visual metonymies in the news genre, so I hope to contribute to this field as well with this approach. So as mentioned, my approach lies at the intersection of three different fields of media studies, visual communication, and cognitive linguistics. And going down this path, I encountered myself at this very intersection where I managed to define visual metonymic framing as a central tool, as a central mechanism that is used in news images depicting violence. So this is a process of selection, this is a process of visual accentuation. The middle part of the definition talks about metonymy and how it works there. It is about providing interpretation, making certain events salient, whereas relegating others to the background. Now, the case that I focused on in my research is the Russo-Ukrainian war, provided that it is believed to be the most mediatized war ever in history. What we know is that significant differences exist in how different countries report on the war, of course. And what I specifically looked at is the European versus the American perspective on this matter, because it has been found that the USA and the European Union tends to share some, let's say, opinions on the matter, such as the preferred outcome of the war. But what has been recently found is that the citizens' support for the intervention is changing. So, considering this, I wanted to answer the question, how does CNN and Euronews visually report on the war, focusing on potential commonalities and differences as well. In order to answer the research question, I conducted a metonymy-based image analysis, for which I first had to set up my sample, and the sample included the first 2 years of the war, so starting from February 24th, 2022 until February 24th this year. As mentioned, the two main outlets were CNN and Euronews, where with a targeted search option, I managed to gather all of the eligible links pointing to these labels, which was then followed by a random sampling of 10 articles per month per website, so that the final sample included 480 articles, but my focus was specifically on the featured image of these articles, so the opening image, not the textual elements. And what I'm going to present here is the preliminary result based on 360 of these elements. Now, violence is always some kind of action, and because of this nature, I decided to work with the action idealized cognitive model borrowed from cognitive linguistics, which showcases which are those parts of the action that are used to talk about the whole event of action. So there were cases in which the agent for action metonymic relationship dominated. This is where we see agents, as in perpetrators, soldiers in the images. When talking about the instrument replacing the whole action, it's very much about the weapons in this case that can aid the potential violent act. Patients are the victims, endurers of the harm. The place for action is a relationship which specifically focuses on the surroundings without any reference made to human entities. The result for action showcases a really typical case of the aftermath images, whereas in a very few cases, objects were also identified, in most cases in the form of flags. And violence is not only an action, but to be more specific, a really complex action, for which I relied on the complex event ICM to understand this much better, which states that events can be divided into discrete units, into discrete phases, such as an initial phase, a central phase, and a final phase. So as a second step, I also looked at which of these phases are put into the center, so to say, with the featured images. Now, as for the results, first I would like to start with the most dominant metonymic relationship, that is of the agent for action relationship. As mentioned, these are pictures of perpetrators, in most cases soldiers, all right, put in that form. And there were also other agents who we could call indirect in the sense that they are not directly involved in the events, and these were politicians. And it was really interesting to see that the news portals sort of had a really similar balance or ratio of presenting these direct and more indirect agents. As mentioned, for direct, we see a depiction of soldiers, and politicians, well, they are politicians, so to say. And they are really frequently depicted alongside with instruments, in most cases guns and tanks, which metonymically stand for the action of shooting, even if it is not captured in the image itself. Following, the results for action metonymic relationship was also quite dominant. These are the really characteristic images of destruction, where the ruins depicted in the picture stand for the whole process of destruction, showcasing the immediate surroundings and, of course, the horrible images of the results of war. There were also more, so to say, global results, whereas the previous can be mentioned as local results. These are something that are activated through metonymic chains, where we see how a global economic crisis or the restrictions connected to the war can also be depicted in these images. Patients, as mentioned, are the victims, the endurers, who sometimes are depicted quite explicitly, still paying attention to ethical guidelines, and in other cases, the images are just simply, well, unfortunately, really horrible. And then less dominant were the object for action and place for action relationship. With regards to the complexity of events, it was the final sub-event that dominated. So what we see are these really characteristic aftermath images. This was followed by the central phase, which captures the action in the middle. So in the midst, when we see shooting or where we see an explosion, which turned out to be quite common in the sample as well, whereas the initial phase was not featured that much, where we don't yet see the action, but rather people preparing for that action. So in conclusion, what we can see is that these results point to a highly human-centric, anthropocentric result, showcasing that we like to view the world through our own lenses, so what these given acts mean in terms of us, so in terms of the people involved in them or affected by them. And this is our preference for human over non-human, which was driven by the agent for action relationship. Interestingly, with the frequent depiction of politicians, we see the politicized nature of the war. And this is also reflected in the news value of personalization, so much so that in news production, it is considered to be critical to lend a human face to these articles to increase reader involvement. We saw that the final phase and the aftermath images are really dominant, which activates the news value of impact. The central phase appeared quite often, despite those technical restrictions that news reporters might face, as well as the ethical restrictions that editorial guidelines might put on the news outlets. And when it comes to differences between the two outlets, there was two that stood out for me. Firstly, CNN's preference for local results instead of global results, which might be considered as a factor that can increase reader involvement, which might be, once again, these are just suggested implications, might be due to the fact that it has been found in previous statistics, quite recent statistics and surveys, that citizens tend to have a decreasing support for the war and the USA's intervention in the war. And then lastly, the central phase was also a little bit more dominant in the sample of CNN, which can come down to really similar results, that is to try to increase reader involvement and to draw people into these images, thus getting somewhat more support from the public. So overall, my results point to this really human-centered framing, and just really briefly, there are, of course, many future options to continue with this study, such as looking at temporality, so how these relationships changed throughout times, also looking at the recipient side, so conducting an audience analysis, seeing which metonymic relationships resonate more with audience members, as well as understanding or applying this to a social media sample, because I believe that the approach can be used to understand or study the visual representation of any violent act, and this could perhaps not be more necessary than it is now when our societies are plagued by several wars. Violence, negative news, and conflictual events have always been considered news values. They have always represented news values, and I believe that this will certainly remain so in the future as well. Thank you very much for listening. Feel free to contact me, and yeah, here's just a list of my references. Thank you.
Now, from Eastern Mediterranean University, Olan Revaju Afolabi, we are inviting.
Hello, everyone. My name is QUDUS Afolabi Olanrewaju, and my partner here, Valerie. We are from Eastern Mediterranean University, AMU. Okay, so the topic I'm going to talk about is exploring the age of disinformation, how greenwashing heightens eco-anxiety in Gen Z consumers. I believe everyone knows about anxiety. It's a very common problem, but most people don't know about eco-anxiety, which is related with the the eco problem, which is the climate change, the global warming. So Marshall McLuhan, he said that we live in a global village, which means everyone is connected together. Like, for example, we're having this conference here, but there's somebody in the US who is also doing the same conference with us. Like, I could take my phone, text my parents in Nigeria, and they would know whatever I'm doing here. So which is what this is talking about. It's like we all live in a global village. We are all connected together through the mobile phone, our computers, laptops. So these are the ways that we are connected through different media platforms. When the first professor was talking, he was talking about BTS and the Iranian fans, which shows that BTS are in Korea, but the Iranians are still able to connect with them somehow. This is how well close together we are in this age. So I'm going to be talking about the Ebola problem. I don't know if anyone knows about the Ebola problem that happened in Africa, like about a few years ago. So one of the kings, he made a text on his social media page and said, the remedy to this is by taking your bath with salt and pepper. So everyone in Nigeria started to put salt in their water and put in Maggi, like some spice. And a lot of children actually died from this. It just shows how close we are. Like, someone could make a tweet in this room right now, and a lot of things could go wrong in many countries. So this is how disinformation works. So I'm going to be talking about the research objective, which is to show how greenwashing tactics affect the consumers and is linked to the Gen Zs. Because in this age and time, a lot of Gen Zs are usually online. Like, if you're not on your TikTok page, you're on your Instagram page or your WhatsApp page. So it shows that we are all together in a way. And how do greenwashing affect us? I believe everyone knows about greenwashing, but if you don't know about greenwashing, it is now in this age where advertisers, they tend to use the green product, the fact that we want to save the environment, we want to be eco. Then they put it into their product, which is actually, in a way, not green. So, for example, I buy a cup of coffee, and I get a plastic bottle like this, then they give me a paper straw to drink this. The rationality doesn't make sense because this is plastic, but I'm getting a paper straw. So they just try to save cost instead of actually practicing the eco-friendly things. So this is what greenwashing is all about. So I could tell you, the research question is how exposure to greenwashing marketing connected with eco-anxiety in Gen Z consumers. How does Gen Z consumer dependence of social media from information influence their exposure to the greenwashing on social media platform and eco-anxiety? So again, what is greenwashing? Greenwashing was coined by Jay, an American environmentalist, by mistake actually. He said greenwashing is a disruptive practice of misleading consumers about a company's policy. So if a company is practicing something different, like Nestle, if they are getting their product from a bad place and the market is as being eco, as being friendly to the environment, this is what greenwashing is about. So some notable examples, we have Unilever. The tagline, tough on staying, kinder to our planet. This is something that when you read, as an eco-friendly person, you would want to buy this product because you think you are saving the planet in a way. If I decide to buy a product that has less paper, less plastic, I believe I'm saving the planet, but the company is only marketing this to me to think I am doing this, but I am literally not doing this. So in 2022, one of the advertising agencies in the United Kingdom, they found out that this advert that is here doesn't actually say what it says it does. Like it says it saves up to 60% on energy with code washes, but it doesn't. It doesn't have any effect. So this is what greenwashing is about. So there are many other companies that have been caught greenwashing. We have Ryan Airlines. We say they are saving on emissions, and we have Coca-Cola, we have Volkswagen, H&M, and Coca-Cola. I believe everyone is a fan of Coca-Cola, whether you take the... But when you buy from Coca-Cola, there are some of their products that they market as the bottle is recyclable, but which they are not. They just tend to put them somewhere and make you believe this. So how do you identify greenwashing? Empty claims, misleading symbols. We have some misleading symbols, like when you find the green arrows that goes the other way, you think this is friendly. Or sometimes when you find a particular product and there's a green stamp on it or says this product has been tested to be friendly to the environment. Sometimes these things are not true. Or there's vagueness, which means they advertise something to you and say this air conditioning, if you use it, you save more electricity. But if it's tested based on science, it doesn't actually match it together. And sometimes there are no proof, and sometimes they selectively disclose some things to you. So if I buy a shirt that says it is green, that means it's recyclable. What if the shirt destroys in a day? So there are some things that they selectively choose to give to you. So now let's talk about the main topic, which is eco-anxiety. Like I said, everybody knows about anxiety. We all suffer from anxiety some way or the other based on different situations. So anxiety, eco-anxiety is related to environmental issue, which means the distress you get from when you're anxious about the future of the environment, of the climate. So everyone is scared because there are many articles or researches that say the world is going to end maybe by 2030 or 2060. So technically, everyone is scared. I believe we also saw what happened in the UAE a few days ago, where there was flooding. These are things that you would never believe would happen in the next 70 years to a country like UAE. So this kind of things could create panic, which created panic in a lot of people. So this kind of global warming fears, the climate fears, is what leads to eco-anxiety. So you finding out that you are buying a bottle of water just to save your environment, or you are buying a car that says it's electricity, so it saves your environment, but you find out it doesn't actually work that way. This kind of things can lead to eco-anxiety, like can lead to fear of the future. So, before I go on, a university conducted a research to show how many people are actually scared for their future. Then they found out most of them are actually Gen Zs, like 70% of Gen Zs, which we are the ones who are like looking forward to the future more. Like nobody wants to come in 2030 and not be able to go out because the sun is too hot or the winter is like too strong, you don't want to go anywhere. So the Gen Zs are really scared for the future. So this is why the research is linked to the Gen Z consumers. So the hypotheses are exposure to greenwashing practices are linked with Gen Z because we tend to be online a lot. So Gen Zs tend to see a lot of things. So they know more information, the Gen Zs. So when they know more information, you know what is going to happen to the environment. When you get to find out that a company is greenwashing you, it leads to a much more fear than a random person who barely goes online, who knows what is happening in the environment. This kind of person would have less fear. And most of the products that are green in these days, they are usually marketed to the Gen Zs, like the electric car, electric scooter, your shirt that is recyclable, like the bottles that could be recycled. These are more focused towards the Gen Z. So I couldn't conduct like a large study. So this study used a pilot study with just 10 participants who are majorly Gen Zs. It was an online questionnaire. The participants were between age 18 to 27, and it was conducted online. Then the study focused on the eco-anxiety scale. So there's an eco-anxiety scale that has about 13 questions on it that focus on things you need to know. So, oh, thank you. So I'm going to skip the results to see. These are just the questions that we ask. How often do you see marketing? A lot of people see a lot of greenwashing adverts. When do you encounter greenwashing, how does it make you feel? Do you feel frustrated? Do you feel angry, helpless, confused, or deceived? Like for myself, when I see greenwashing ads, I get confused and sometimes a little bit angry. So these are the questions that were on the eco-anxiety scales. Do you worry a lot about your environment? Do you feel anxious when you think about the effect of climate change? Do you feel guilty about your own impact on the environment? These are the 13 questions. And the last one, which is seems very important to a lot of people, I feel a sense of doom about the future of the planet. I feel a lot of Gen Z feels this way, like there's going to be a problem in the nearest future. So these are the findings. The hypotheses were supported, by the way, which means a lot of the Gen Zs that get to see more information online about the environment, they wear or they feel scared that the future is doomed and greenwashing is a big problem. So everyone tends to accept that greenwashing leads to eco-anxiety, which is what a lot of people are suffering from. Probably we might not have psychologists diagnosing people yet with eco-anxiety, but as soon as the more researches are done in this way, then I think this might be a very big part for psychologists. Then we have social media usage and greenwashing exposure. The more you tend to spend on your TikTok, the more you see the news about the old things, the more you feel more anxiety in you. So in conclusion, it shows that Gen Z consumers are a very large part of this eco-anxiety problem, and I feel greenwashing should be reduced in a way so eco-anxiety might not be a big problem in the nearest future, because everyone is basically scared of the future. So I feel the next research, if you would like to conduct, will be to look at how trust level. The more you trust your social media pages, the adverts, the company. For example, if I trust Coca-Cola so much, I think they are not going to harm me, then I find out they are actually doing more harm to me, then this could lead to a higher degree of eco-anxiety. So thank you, everyone, for listening.
Our fourth participant is from Bern University, Maria, but I couldn't pronounce your last name, I'm sorry.
Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Marija Slijepčević. I'm from Zagreb, Croatia, and my topic is analysis of information warfare patterns and debunking disinformation. I will try to be short and within these 15 minutes, because this was actually the topic of my PhD thesis, so I can talk really a lot about it, so I will hopefully not. And also, I have been in Istanbul only for like 3 hours, came straight from the airport, so not really a rest. Okay, so my interest was informational warfare as a part of hybrid warfare between the Russian Federation and the Republic of Ukraine. And my paper studied 2 years of the communication between Russian media regarding disinformation, which was debunked by the Ukrainian fact checker called Stop Fake. So my interest is in the field, of course, in the communication studies, but I wanted to find patterns of information warfare in a few hundreds of articles, because I believe today that tools of the warfare are digital, targets are the beliefs of the enemy population, leadership, economic and political information systems on which society relies. And I think that today information has become a weapon, the information space has become a battlefield where information wars are fought. And I truly and honestly believe that everything that is happening in the informational space is not just information, it aims to change behavior. Because of this, we can nowadays not speak only about disinformation. The few authors years ago called it actually said that we are living in the time of information disorder, and I think that is quite correct, because there are so many ways that we are attacked by disinformation, misinformation, malinformation. So the scientists agreed, of course, that we cannot use the term fake news anymore, because it's not good enough. It's too basic for all the informational disorder that is actually happening to all of us. So I agree that the future wars may appear as a war of narratives, and the main activities of hybrid warfare causing instability using media system and sending appropriate messages. And nowadays, actually, the media themselves are means of warfare. That is why I was very, very interested in the work of fact-checkers, which are new organizations in our informational space all around the world, which are they are based on postulates of investigative journalism, but with a clear departure from the media that lost the trust of the audience, and they have become new indispensable part of modern information system. Nowadays we have this is information 3 days ago, 437 fact checkers all over the world. This is the data from the Duke University from the USA, which makes they founded International Fact-Checking Network, and they are actually counting numbers of all the fact checkers in the world. They are growing rapidly in just from 2014 until 2018. The growth was 239%, but from then we have even 288 new ones. So there are almost no countries in the world which don't have their fact-checking organization, which help us to understand what is true, what is not true. Nowadays the biggest ones and the best ones are the part of International Fact-Checking Network. They are participating in the Global Fact Summit, which is happening in 2 months in Sarajevo this year, in Bosnia. Last year it was in Korea, and they are changing countries every year, but they gather fact-checkers from more than 80 countries on this fact-checking summit. All of them are using the same code of principles, and they are doing actually a really interesting work. While reading the scientific literature about fact-checkers, I heard many times about Stop Fake, Ukrainian fact-checker, which was called like the golden standard of fact-checking in the world. They were founded in 2014 in Kiev Moila Journalism School, and they are publishing their stories in 14 languages. So what I did was analyze 2 years of all of their posts, which they said that they proved that something was fake. It was usually information coming from Russia about the Ukraine. These were my research questions, and I had a little less than 700 articles to analyze. So I began with the first year of their conflict in 2014, when there was armed conflict between them, but the second year they signed the pension agreement Minsk, which was the duration of the frozen conflict without armed conflict. So I wanted to see if the communication is going to change regarding is it armed conflict or not. So I had a lot of categories, but I will show you part of results and part of examples for you not to read everything. So they were not only fact-checking Russian sources, even though you can see the biggest number is Russian sources, but they actually had a lot of fake news coming from Ukraine, from other countries, and sometimes it was difficult to determine. What I was shocked the most about is that I wanted to know what was the type of source that published fake news in original, and some of the most viewed and most read media appear as the majority of the sample. So it was not social media. They are usually focused only on media, which differs them from other fact checkers, but a lot of the news came from the actually mainstream media. I was wondering what kind of types of evidence did they give their readers to say that something is inaccurate. The biggest number is here for traditional journalistic techniques, which means they called the same sources, read the same documents, and tried the typical investigative journalism work. A lot of posts were proven to be fake by digital forensics, and in a smaller part they used other types of evidence. So this is one example of digital forensics. It represents parliamentarian. For the picture is of course photoshopped, and it said that he came to parliament session with a machine gun. But what the problem was, of course, not that it was obviously photoshopped, but the fact that even the Russian television channel 1 and all the social media took the picture and said that Ukrainian politicians come to their parliament with guns. Another example of digital forensics and combination of true and false information. This is a picture of Kiev residents kneeling to pay respect for the victims of Euromaidan, but the picture was used to say that all the Ukrainians are kneeling in the streets of Kiev when American Vice President Biden was visiting. Okay, so one of the types of informational warfare is combination of true and false information, and it can actually be seen in most of the publications. They use something that really exists and change the context, time, or something like this document from 1959 in which US Congress said that they recognized Donbass independence, but it was 60 years old and not from these days. Something similar with which Professor Alexandra said, one of the tools is using shocking images and stories that can influence emotions of publics, and this was very, very often, especially pictures of dead children, injured children. Of course, I didn't choose the worst ones, so they just took pictures from Syria and posted them like they happened in Ukraine, or even pictures from the movies, which they just took the crying baby with the dead mother and said that this happened in Donbass. So we have something true, but in combination with untrue. In many times they tried the element of dehumanization and demonization of the opponent. Like this picture, which was actually on Instagram of this actor who just took this. It was a sci-fi film, and they were filming on the location, and he took a picture with one of the artifacts from the filming, but the photo went viral because they said that the Ukrainian soldiers are eating Russian ones. Or like this one where they said that in hospitals they put swastikas on children when they are born. And usually they had a lot of unnamed sources or sources of questionable credibility. Like they would quote somebody, and then the organization would have to publish that that person does not exist there. Or they even had on national television fake Ukrainian deputy minister. They just brought a person and said that he was a deputy minister from Ukraine, but he was completely other person. And my favorite, that they actually have the same person who is acting different roles in different locations. Somewhere she was a citizen of Kharkiv, participant of anti-Maidan, mother of the soldier, etc. So she was actually like an actress that was paid to give statements to the national television, and Stop Fake journalists actually found out that she's a person with a criminal record. So to conclude, there are many ways that informational warfare can be seen through these hundreds of stories, like using shocking images, falsifying videos, photos, changing context, time, etc. So the fact checkers are nowadays maybe not so important because they don't have a huge reach and they are not so popular as traditional media, but hopefully they are becoming somebody that will help all of us to find some places where we can see that somebody made a job to fact check information and etc. Thank you so much.
Now I want to invite Assistant Professor Dr. Zdravko Rusev from National Academy for Theatre and Film Arts from Sofia. Welcome.
Hello everybody. I would like to thank the organizers of the symposium to give me the opportunity to present my paper, Paradoxes of Modern Video Image as a Weapon of Mass Information and Disinformation. We live in the age of disinformation, where interactive media and anonymity are changing the rules of visual communication. We have all heard the expression, "a picture is worth 1,000 words." It means that people believe what they see, and this is why video images are most often used for disinformation. The paradox is in the contradiction between the image as an objective representation of reality and its mass use for deception and disinformation. The video image shows 100% of the real world which is in front of the lens and presents it as a visual document of reality. The genesis of lies is using the objective visual information and transforming it, even without special effects, into visual disinformation which serve to manipulate the public opinion. Turning information into disinformation is far from a complicated process. It doesn't necessarily need special visual effects or high-end computer equipment. We can all imagine how far visual effects or manipulated images can go. But today, I will ignore visual manipulation and focus only on examples without any artificial intervention. Because the great paradox is in the fact that a single image can lie without any visual manipulations. There are different ways a genuine image can be used to spread disinformation. A real picture, but different place and time. Replacing the image of reality with something different, pretending to be real, reality is a classic way of transforming the image and using it as a weapon of mass disinformation. During the pandemic, on March 28, 2020, images of hundreds of coffins were circulated purporting to prove the mass death toll in certain areas of Italy. However, these shots were neither from the same place nor the same time. This image was actually taken 7 years before that, in 2013, when a migrant shipwreck carrying African migrants sank off the coast of Lampedusa. This is a hangar at Lampedusa airport on October the 5th in 2013. The photo was made by agency France Press photographer Alberto Pizzoli. Showing a real image, pretending to be real, is a common method of disinformation. The picture is real, but from a different place and different time. The effect of these simple visual manipulations shows the potential of the images as a weapon of mass disinformation. The camera itself never lies, but people often misinterpret what they see and others manipulate what they show you. Real picture, same place, but different time. Let me give you a very simple example. Let's imagine that I want to make a Facebook post about our symposium here, and I want to show some pictures of this wonderful event. With many people in it, with all the national and international guests. Of course, it would be easy to take some still or video pictures of the hall full of people. But what if I want to manipulate the Facebook post? I can come early in the morning and take the same still or video pictures without any human presence in it and post them with comment. There wasn't any participant at the symposium this year. The pictures would be showing the truth because there are no participants in the camera's frame. However, by changing the time when the images were taken, I can manipulate the public opinion without any visual effects or manipulation, only by changing the time of the taken pictures. Real pictures, same plane and same time. Let me show you an image of China flowers. You can say no big deal, just nice flowers in China. But what if I add a second title? China flowers at Tiananmen Square. Once again, everything is fine, just nice flowers at Tiananmen Square. But what would happen when I add a special date? Tiananmen Square on the 5th of June, 1989. Now, you begin to understand that if the cameraman, instead of shooting this, I will repeat, if the cameraman, instead of shooting this, was shooting and showing you only these beautiful flowers, that is already a visual manipulation and disinformation. Because even pointing the camera lens in a different direction is already a disinformation. And if a journalist with his camera is showing you only the beautiful flowers of Tiananmen Square during the protest of June 1989, instead of showing tanks driven through the crowd, that's obviously a visual manipulation and visual disinformation without any special effects. No visual effects, just choosing a different point of view. Yes, this is the author's point of view. Yes, he has made the choice how to compose the frame, and here you are. Some details have been omitted. Small details such as tanks driving over Chinese citizens. But the flowers were beautiful, weren't they? I showed you a few ways of how an image can create a disinformation without any visual manipulation. Real pictures, but different place and time. A real picture, same place but different time. And real picture, same place, same time, but different point of view. In conclusion, we can say that the paradox is in that the image can lie and say the truth at the same time. depending on how it is used. It depends on the context where we place our image. We can show the truth or a lie only by changing the date of image taken or the place of the image taken, or by just turning our camera on the opposite direction of the real events which happens around us. It is simple, so simple. Thanks. The responsibility of television in the age of disinformation is changing in the context of the increased consumption of visual information and disinformation through social media. The place of television image in this communication process is very important to guarantee the objectivity of presented video images. Television broadcast channels must take great responsibility to ensure the veracity of the content presented and lead the war against video disinformation using the objectivity of the video image devoid of any manipulative content. Thank you. Teşekkürler. If you have any questions.
We will take questions after all the present.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Because we have last presentation from Complutense University of Madrid, Maria Lucia Garcia Guardia. Yes, please. Welcome.
Önceki şeydeydi.
Tamam. Sunumu lazım. Önceki oturumdaydı da. Do you have like a USB flash drive? All right, let's take a look. Oops. Where is it?
That's surprise.
It was about your flight.
Yeah. Which one? Which one is your presentation?
Presentation.
Oh, this one?
Yes, this one.
Let's copy it here. Should be about right. The microphone is on. Stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much. I am going to present a European project. The name is NutriWellbe, Fake News and Nutrition, a Bibliometric Analysis. They are our partners. It's a verification of nutrition and wellness data for higher education. It's our project 2022. It's Erasmus-K. The project will address as a priority a transition to digital transformation, promoting development, resilience, and digital capabilities with the following approach: nutrition, wellness, gender equality, and fact-checking lines of research and action that are deserving of financial support due to the undoubted social interests, since they have allowed the configuration of a multidisciplinary project with concrete and practical applied results that bring together various cooperative approaches to provide new knowledge in the field that combines initiatives underway at the UCM, Universidad Complutense de Madrid, and has an impact on the development of innovative techniques. The project will support the digital transformation plans of the higher education institution involved and the related association to effectively manage the transition towards digital education on fact-checking, nutritional health and wellness to guarantee a healthy life, promoting healthy habits within an emotional and psychological harmony is part of the SDG agenda. A fundamental strategy to get the objectives of the project will be the construction of an interconnected systems of higher educational specialty in media literacy and the fight against misinformation, providing a platform to verification and detection of fake news. In this line, training programs will be created which will promote the participation of those involved, such as 5 universities in Europe, in Germany, in Macedonia, in Greece, in Portugal, in Lisbon. Specialized partners in field of action and training. The main partner and the associates will promote common values, social and civil commitments through formal and not formal learning activities. Awareness campaigns and an interactive platform for the participation of people in democratic and inclusive life against disinformation with a cooperation network made up of professionals, experts in nutrition and digital communication, thus promoting action for the inclusion and participation of students and teachers with a gender equality perspective, and will address the difference in relation to access and use by underrepresented groups. The project will face the change of habits from an integral perspective, attending to the most important aspect to acquire a full and healthy life. Good nutrition, emotions, well-being, and exercise are some of the many things that we will work on in this program, whose purpose is to accompany a process of change, guiding teachers and university students who have seen their health and well-being violated due to the misinformation and disease accordance with their health, and the use of European frameworks on the digital competence of education systems and organizations. In order to gain a more detailed understanding of the research conducted on these topics and bibliometric study, this is a statistic study about literacy. It's not so attractive as the other research, but it's a very practical research about publication, citation, with special tools. We carry out using the CIMA tools and the occurrence technique. A search was carried out in the Web of Science database of the terms fake news, misinformation, and disinformation in relation to nutrition up to 2023. The data set consists of 476 articles. The research shows 3 main areas related to nutrition and fake news: diet, health, and social media. The purpose, general, because this is a project, our goals is to work with our students and teachers, and it's a project about education. But inside the project we have a line, and it's a line about literacy. The biggest project is a fundamental strategy to meet the project objectives is the construction and interconnected higher education system specialized in media literacy and the fight against disinformation, providing a platform for verification and detection of fake news. Finally, we work with the platform with an e-book, and now we have a campaign in social media with our students, the students of Spain of the university, to understand how is important fake news with health. Simultaneously, in the institution involved, formal and not formal learning activities and awareness campaigns are developed in addition to the creation of a cooperation network made up of professional experts in nutrition and digital communication. And I am presenting a bibliometric analysis of scientific literature. We study some theories And we work with some authors, for example, Pulido, Rodriguez Egas, Fernandez, Muñoz, with the aim of defining, of pointing out the most relevant thematic areas related to fact-checking and nutrition. It is proposed to use a bibliometric approach that involves the creation of a strategic map and network maps using the CMAT software. This approach allows publication and citation to be viewed through associated keywords. This method is widely used to understand, discover, and show hard-to-see thematic connection between topic relevance to the advance of an area or field of knowledge. The methodology has been structured in 4 stages using the CMAT tool: identifying research topics, visualizing research topics and their network, discovering thematic areas, performing and performance analysis. In the maps generated through this methodology, the main lines of research linked to the selected concepts can be visualized. The strategic map in turn facilitates the analysis of data categorized or located on a plane divided in 4 categories according to column centrality and density indicators. Centrally measure the strength of external links with other topics, which can be understood as a measure of the importance of a topic in the development of the entire field of research, analysis of the degree of strength of external links between terms. For each part, okay. Density measure the internal strength of a network based on all the links that describe a topic is measured the strength of intensity of the relationship between the keyword centers and they are within the same node. For the development, the analysis bibliographic information has been obtained for the Web of Science. The query used was this, and this is query recovered of 477 publications, 5,017 citations. This is the representation. The research. The most important is the evolution map show on the one hand that there is a greater number of documents related to concepts such as diet and health compared to others such as social media, COVID-19 and credibility. However, as can be seen in the lower part of the graph, the sum of citation of each concept is more homogeneous. The strategic diagram according to the number of publications and number of citations after consulting the Web of Science. A number of citations consulted, the same. This analysis also reveals the relationship between the keywords and the most recurrent subtopics through thematic networks. We found that most articles deal with topics related to diet and health. The diet topic is the most productive in the period analyzed because, in addition to the 1970 publication, it has citation and cover aspects related to nutrition, lack of information, food, and management. The health topic is located as a motor transversal topic with 20 publications at 855 citations. It is conceptually connected with concepts such as fact news, communication, trends, Mediterranean diet, and media. This is another samples. Conclusion, the research revealed a series of significant findings to help us to have a deep understanding of the research in the select area of study. This research has been carried out under the NutriWell project, an initiative that proposed the creation of a data verification platform and the promotion of media literacy in nutritional health and well-being. The analysis revealed that diet and health are the central topics with a greater number of publications and citations. These topics are conceptually connected to others such as lack of information, trends, the Mediterranean diet, and the media. The presence of social media as a transversal issue highlights the relevance of digital platforms in the dissemination of nutritional information and the fight against fake news in this context. There is a strong connection of this topic with public health and health study of platform such as YouTube. And finally, COVID-19 is identified as a peripheral topic with a temporal focus and a specific connection, while credibility emerges as a topic with few publications but a high number of citations, thematically linked to social network. Aspects such as change in eating behavior have few publications and citations but are linked to aspects such as lack of information, false beliefs, and changes diet. In summary, the analysis provides a detailed overview of research trends in the field of fake news and nutrition, heightens key areas, thematic relationship, and the importance of addressing misinformation in the promotion of health and well-being. These results can be valuable for implementing a strategy in the Nutri-Well-Being project and other similar initiatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, do you have any question? Thank you, first of all, for your influential presentations. And do you have any questions? Do you need, if you can, I can remember you about the presentations. Do you remember all the presentations? So, okay. First presentation mentioned constructed religious communication in BTS concepts. If you have any question, you can ask. Yes, please.
My question for the areas that spread transcripted. I'm focusing on a Russian and European far-right connection, and I'm really curious about your point of view about the Russian politics of the European far-right. All Russia try to affect the far-right in the media subject. How Russia affects the European far-right in the media, new media, social media. Do you have any data subject material? Let me rephrase. I read a paper, I'm studying on a paper, and I'm curious about the Russian connection between European far-right in terms of media, new media, and social media. Do you have any sub-data or any saying about the subject?
I didn't conduct any research on this. I know what you are talking about, and there are but that's just research on
Do you have any question about methodology or analysis or something else? No? If you don't have, we can start to certificate process. And first of all, I will invite Maria Silivjevic. Okay. Professor EHSAN SHAHGHASEMI. SHAHGHASEMI. And lecturer ALEXANDRA NAGY-BÉNI. And Research Assistant Valerie Ogafor. I can invite also Olen Revaju Afolabi, because this research was to this one. Okay. Thank you. You can come with me. And finally, Assistant Professor Dr. Zdrowko Ruzev. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for
Hocam bir de toplu fotoğraf şey yapalım mı?
Okay. We will have